Yeah, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would baller. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a back 6-point claw.
Hello, Koji Neko, and today I am very sick. I caught some kind of virus. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably some cold virus or something, but I don't know. I mean, I've just been sick for like 3 days now. At first I assumed it was allergies, but it turned out it wasn't. So now I'm just sick, so I have almost no voice, but I'm feeling better, so I'm making this video and uploading it as soon as I can because we have no content, and Baby Tiger, our collab friend, her computer got a virus as well, so she can't edit anything. We were gonna do a CMV. Hopefully we'll look forward to it for our cosplay thing. But because her video editing software on her computer broke, she can't use it. She could use her phone, but it's incredibly hard for her, and I don't want to put all that stress on her, so until she gets a new computer, we'll have to put off the CMV. But for now, I've got a coming out video for everyone. So I hope you enjoy. I got a bad headache, so I may be coming in and out because it's really loud for me right now, and I have muddy ears. It's like talking like this. But anyway, so let's go on with the video, and I hope you enjoy. So when you're coming out, I don't know why it's called coming out. Honestly, I don't think of it as a sexuality. I don't think of it as some kind of disease. I don't think of it as like just like anything else LGBTQ. But people call it coming out. I don't know why. It's just something they say nowadays. I've seen a lot of YouTubers cover it. I don't know why it's been such a big deal recently, but I figured might as well cover my own version of it. So, so you want to come out to your parents as being an otaku or furry, or like anything else from a fandom. I feel like this applies, but I'm going to still be talking mainly about the furry and otaku community, though you could apply this to any other community whatsoever. So let's say that you're part of the gaming community or something, I don't know. But anyway, so if you are coming out to your parents, you don't want to like come out and say, "Mom, Dad, I'm an otaku / furry." They're gonna be weirded out. They're gonna be like, what the heck is an otaku and furry? And you have to explain. Let's say, oh, I watch anime and I love anime. I want to become part of Japan. It's amazing. Or like furry, where you're like, oh man, I see all these people dress up as animals, and then I found out it's called the furry fandom. And then like they go out in parks and they hug little kids. It's kind of hard to explain. And then your parents get weirded out, and then it's like, what the heck is that? And they start saying, no, you cannot be part of this, you should stay away from these kind of people. Without any reason, they could say, might as well say the extended version, instead of like legitimately explaining their point, but straight to the point. They're like, no, you shouldn't be doing this. Now the reasons why they would say, no, you shouldn't be an otaku, cosplayer, or furry. And so, number one reason is unawareness. And when they're not aware, you can't really explain it. So you have to transition into showing them what cosplaying, being a furry is, and what being an otaku is. So it's a long explanation short. You should just transition them into explaining about that. So you have to tell them what the nice things they've done and the good part of the fandom, and there's kind of weird parts too. You have to admit that your fandom is kind of weird because they're going to be completely weirded out. So you have to be able to admit that you're weird. The number two reason for this is the financial problems. So let's say you you've been wanting a cosplay forever and maybe a fursuit, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I need this to be part of the fandom. And obviously you do not need to be part of the fandom to have one. You don't need to do anything to be part of the cosplay fandom. You don't need to have a cosplay. You don't need to have a fursuit. You don't need to have any anime merchandise whatsoever. It's nice to have it, but sometimes you can't help wanting all of it. So your parents are probably gonna think, oh man, my kid's probably gonna spend all their money on this, or they're gonna spend all my money, which is more important, on this, and I spend like $100 of everything and maybe over $100 every day because my kid wants all this stuff, and they have to say nope, you can't do this because they don't want to spend all their money, or they don't want you to spend all your money on this stuff, and they're just trying to teach you a lesson, saying you shouldn't spend everything onto one thing. And it's totally understandable, because when you're an adult and then you're trying to fend for your food, you can't think of buying all this stuff. And I can't say it's crap, but eventually it's just gonna be a pain having to spend all this, and you're spending your life priorities lower and lower, and some people do. You have to explain that this is not what you're going for. Unless you are thinking that path, then click away. But you shouldn't be spending all your money onto one specific thing because you feel like you need to fill that social void, and you don't need it. So you should let them know that it's not your number one priority, it's just something you like. So number 3 is bad experiences. The third reason why parents would say, no, you can't be a furry, or you can't be an otaku or a cosplayer, is because they have a bad reputation. Or like, we're on the bad side of town and they don't want you to be beaten up by some kind of gang. Now, I personally had some bad experiences too from my parents, because there's this guy who is an otherkin, which is pretty much a person who thinks they're an animal from past life, and because of the bad experience with that otherkin person, and they were also a fursuiter because they believed they were an animal on the inside and they're born differently and all of this. And my parents were so weirded out, they said, nope, you can't wear an ears or a tail because otherwise you'll be part of that gang, and that gang is gonna beat the crap out of you because they think you're part of that gang. And it's totally not. I couldn't argue with them because of that bad experience, but you have to take it in, know that they're trying to protect you, and really you should take their advice. You shouldn't like fight back like this main intent is. Like, I wanted to fight back, but I didn't, and they're totally fine with me making my own fursuit, but they just don't want me doing it as like an everyday thing, as normal wear. They just want me to be aware that this is something that I like, and it's something I do as a hobby, and it's not too important to if I just like push it aside or something. So just be aware that they're trying to protect you, and it's not because they hate you, but it's because they just want to make sure that you're safe. So, how do I explain that I'm any of these 3? Then otaku, cosplayer, or furry? So, I'd recommend transitioning them. Say, like, even though you may have been this for like a majority of your life, or if you're just starting to get into it, the number one thing you should do is transition them. And what I mean by transition is say, oh, I just found out about anime through a friend. If that's something that your friends are into, you say, oh, I found out about anime through a friend, even though you may have been watching it behind your parents' backs for years. I don't know how you could do that, but you could say, oh, I found this out and it's really cool and I want to watch it. and your parents are gonna be like, okay, you should watch it, but just be aware you're probably gonna run into other things, just only watch that. Or like furries, you could say, oh, there's these people that have been actually making these costumes and I think it's really cool. And maybe show some pictures and say that you're finding all these really cool things from them, like music, art, and that you're really interested in that. And they'd be like, okay, that's interesting to know. And you should let them know. Just let them be aware that, pretend that you're just starting to get into it. And the second thing you should do is finally say what you like. Now, what I mean by this is not saying directly, oh, this is the time I come out as furry. No. What you should do is say, oh, I found out that these people are called fursuiters, cosplayers, or otakus. And say that it's something you're interested in. Don't say, oh, I am an otaku, or I am a furry. It's just say that you found out what they're called. Just like maybe do this over a course of a couple of weeks of the transition and say that, okay, so this is what they're called. I've been looking into it and I think it's really, really interesting. And they'll be like, oh, okay. That's what my parents did anyway. And finally say, and the number three thing, the third thing you should do is finally say what it is. So number 3. Okay. So number 3. So what is number 3 after this? So after a couple more weeks, and this is what I did. I finally said what it is, and then say, oh, there's this thing called an otaku club that I'm attending, and they'd be like, what's an otaku club? And say like, oh, it's pretty much a club where anime fans like me go to, and that's what an otaku is. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or like say that you learned from a friend that there's this community called furries, and these furries are pretty much people who are animals, and that's what not like they think they're animals, but it's just people who like anthropomorphic animals, or like cosplayers. You say, oh yeah, there's this cosplayer community that I found out that I really like, and I can make this stuff too, or I can buy this stuff like really cheap rather than hundreds of dollars or something, and they'll just accept it. I mean, that's how my parents were. My parents are really supportive. They just want me to be aware of the kind of people there are. My other people, not so much. You should be aware that there are going to be some people who won't accept it any way possible. I don't recommend this being the first video you watch before coming out to your parents. So, I mean, I'm not the very best. My parents were really supportive. My family has been. My friends haven't had any bad experiences. My baby tiger, the collab friend I mentioned earlier, who also owns this channel. So baby tiger also came out to her parents. I don't know how, but she just pretty much like said, oh, this is what I wear most of the time. Hey mom, can I have some money? Or like my other friend, she says, oh, I just kind of said I like cosplaying, and my parents are like, yeah, sure. So, I mean, that's what I did. I hope it works for you. Please don't leave this as the only video you've seen. Bye. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment, hit the bell, and after you subscribed. It would mean such a big deal to us. Thank you.